And Kita, we should do. Never mind. I'm scared
Anya,
now.
do you want to like share screen?
Yeah. Well, let
Okay.
me close out of Zayed's thing.
What Zayed's? Okay.
His essay.
Oh, for Senate page. Okay, work.
Does this mean I can't open ChatGPT? Very sad.
Girl.
No, I'm kidding. I'll just share the tab.
Okay. Slideshow.
Set me free, dude.
Okay, perfect. Um, let me. Okay, so if Alexandra, is Julian joining in yet?
He didn't respond, so he might be busy.
Oh, okay, that sucks.
Yeah.
That's fine. Alexandra, do you want to co-host with Anya? I can like chime in as needed if you need.
Sure, yeah, that's fine.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna take a picture before we start. Everyone, turn your cameras on if you want, and then we'll take one at the end. Because I don't know what happens, but every time I always have to leave for the end. Like very sad.
Girl, just take a screenshot so you're actually in it. What are you doing?
I'm in the selfie as well. Okay. You know what? You're really annoying. Okay, I'm kidding. Please don't kick me out. Okay.
I'm not. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
no, 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 no. Okay.
Can we kick on Kira instead?
Can we please?
Zed, why are you a menace?
You and Zayed are literally best friends. What are you talking about? Where are the participants?
Oh, yay. Okay.
Oh my God, it's my best friend.
Your best friend's a freshman is crazy.
Oh. Well, your best friend's Zayed, so I feel like that's more embarrassing. Dude, Vincent, you look like you just ran a marathon.
I just took a shower.
Oh.
I'm gonna pop off for like a good 10, 15 minutes to eat dinner, but
Okay, Neo. Maybe we didn't need to know that. Maybe we did. I don't know, but maybe not.
like
Dude, Zayed, you actually just, oh my God, I just saw what you sent. That's crazy.
We.
No, not that.
Oh, okay. So we're
You
DMing
DM
each other
something.
now. I see.
No, it's like really mean.
Oh,
ah,
do you want to share with the class?
I'm not allowed to. So I don't. He'll like diversity directorify me to like not exist anymore.
All
yeah.
right, y'all. Okay, do you
Why
want to
does
get
my hair
started
look
now?
like this? Okay. Do you want to wait for anyone else, or should we just start?
Yeah, sadly there are too many Asians. It was ruining diversity. Some had to be eliminated to maintain equal quotas of all racial and ethnic groups.
Oh, I see. Let's talk about the ratio to men to women in this call too.
It's literally even. What are you talking
Is it
about?
even really? Let me double check. No, it's 4-3. It's fine.
But Zaya
Okay.
doesn't count. He's just there.
What, he's gender neutral?
No,
Yeah, let's go with
he's
that.
just supervising. Oh my God, he's just supervising.
Hi, Jinya.
Go by they,
Okay.
Okay, so
them.
There we
gender tip.
go.
Hi.
Equal gender quorum, guys. Okay. Let's for a real start.
You want to start?
Yeah, okay. I'll just introduce. Okay, so hi everyone. This is the NHPI x Latinx Caucus Immigration Policy Workshop. There's been a ton of recent headlines going around, both concerning both the Latinx and the API population. Just recently, I think about 120 to 300 immigrants of Asian descent were deported to Panama. Several of them were seeking asylum and they were not granted that, and many of them will probably not be in great shape with their country's government once they come back. Um, so we definitely wanted to host this to talk about important bills that are currently going through Congress, as well as the current state of immigration rights as of right now. Anya and Alexandra, if you want to introduce yourselves, go for it.
Okay. Hello, I'm Anya. I'm one of the two policy directors of the AANHPI caucus, along with two other caucuses. Somehow they allowed me to do that. So this is a table of contents. I'll go over that in a second once Alexandria introduces herself.
Yeah, my name is Alexandra, but I go by Alex. And I'm the chair of the Latinx Caucus.
Okay, very cool. This is the table of contents, basically what we're going to cover today. First, we're going to talk about like the current state of the world, but like not just the world, like more specifically DACA rulings and ICE deportations. And then second, we're going to talk about what HSDA and then high schoolers and high school students can get involved in policy and how we specifically through HSDA can help you get involved and facilitate like your activism. Then we're going to talk about the U.S. Citizenship Act, why this act is important, some hurdles they're facing, etc. And then we're gonna like talk to how we can get to work, which congressman to talk to, etc. Stuff like that. Okay, anything to add?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so first we'll be talking about the current state of the immigration with the DACA rulings and the ICE deportations. Okay, so recently the DACA ruling was declared illegal by like a federal court. However, that doesn't mean that current DACA residents are being kicked out. That's they're like still allowed to be in the US, but just means in the future they're not going to allow more DACA residents in. And then there's been aggressive ICE enforcement by like the Trump regime, and there's been mass deportations going around. I don't know if you guys like saw like on TikTok where like the deporting families ASMR like ice thing, which was like very inappropriate. And then there's been attempts to dismantle birthright citizenship that has been temporarily blocked, fortunately, but in the future will continue to be a battle. And then there's also been like legal battles like Garland versus Gonzalez, which happened I think 2 years ago, and it basically made that immigrants like couldn't get federal judges to look before they got deported. So it just like made sure that they didn't have like it was trying to establish like give it like the time in between, and it ended up not going through. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing to add about the birthright citizenship thing, this does not like the Trump ruling does not mean that if you weren't a citizen at birth, they'll take away your citizenship. This is also looking forward and to the future, which like obviously we should still prevent that, but like everyone here, like your loved ones, you are most likely like still okay and still citizens.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where we come in. As high schoolers, there's a lot of methods for us to be like active and kind of advocate for our rights and the rights of people we care about. So the very first step, obviously, is to be educated on issues. There's no point in activism if you aren't educated about the issues you're talking about, and then you don't know what you're talking about. You're advocating. That's like not good. So you should educate yourself first. Showing up to meetings like these is a really good first step. You can also like watch a bunch of YouTube videos. You can reach out to any of us. All of that works. Once you have educated yourself, you can join or become part of advocacy groups that promote immigrant rights. There's a lot that are active right now and trying to make a change. If you don't want to do advocacy groups or work through those specific methods, there's other ways in other ways that you can get involved. More locally, there's local campaigns happening in like what I like to call the election off season. So it's not on the biannual or the every 4 year cycle, but there's some elections happening on the off year. You can get involved in those, and of course, those along with the larger ones. You can also attend town halls and local meetings to advocate for your rights, and you can, of course, always lobby local representatives, your congressmen, etc., to push for humane immigration policies that ensure people's human rights are being protected. And always going to social media, especially in this day and age, is a really good idea because social media, like, it's so easy to have such a broad network and explain things and make sure your message is getting out to a lot of people and a lot of people who care. The information you have to share is like very oftentimes like very valuable, and a lot of like some immigrants like they don't really know exactly what the rulings are, and a lot of people are scared right now. So using social media to kind of dissuade these fears and kind of explain what the truth is, explain what you can do, like as we've seen on social media right now, you can continue to promote those efforts. So the HR 3194 U.S. Citizenship Act. So this act has been referred to multiple subcommittees, like as of recent, like I think as recently as like this month. And it has a lot of support with 100 Democratic co-sponsors, but it has a couple of challenges in advancing through a divided Congress. Of course, we know that the Republicans hold the majority right now. I guess I should explain what this bill is first. It was first introduced, I think, in 2023 by a representative from California. And it's like a comprehensive immigration bill, and it's trying to like reform immigration laws and provide an like earned pathway to citizenship for undocumented individuals, which addresses the root cause of immigration, ensures that people who are coming here, coming to America for a purpose, they really want to like make sure that people are working hard and basically trying to manage the southern border responsibly and reform the immigrant visa system. So a couple of ways that we're doing this, and a couple of ways that this bill is doing this, and a couple of key provisions. First, it kind of is creating a lawful prospective immigrant status, which basically allows non-citizens who meet specific requirements, things like continuous presence since 2023 or background checks, like passing those, to obtain lawful immigrant status, like prospectively in the future. So once they have this status for 5 years, they can apply for lawful permanent resident status. And then certain specific groups also have permanent resident status. So, for example, if you entered the US when you were a minor, if you were from like, if you're eligible for temporary protected service, or if you've done like a substantial amount of agricultural labor in like 5 years or more, within the like 5 years before you applied, all of these people are protected and can apply for this lawful permanent resident status. And then a couple of other important things that this bill does that I don't think this slide talks about. It replaced the use of the term like alien with non-citizen to reflect more inclusive knowledge and better, like less problematic terminology. And it also works really hard to emphasize family unity and stability by trying to ensure that families are kept together, and that people can earn paths to citizenship in cases where like it's really justified that they're coming to this country looking for a better place, etc. Yeah, so I think that covers most of what's on the slide. Um, it's a comprehensive reform for citizenship, workforce stuff, yeah. And then the security stuff, I didn't really talk about that, so I guess I'll explain this as well. This bill also tries to create a modernized and more transparent border, which respects civil liberties and human rights, and ensures that like people can get visas in a lot more fair manner. Yeah.
I
Am I
think
on
we're
the
on
wrong
the wrong
slides?
slideshow. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Did I
Okay.
mess anything up here? I don't think so. Okay, this is good.
Okay, so for lobbying is trying to influence government actions through written or oral communication. Like some examples are meeting with your legislators in person, and you can urge them to support a bill or oppose one. You can also call them because like they're required to take your calls and to open your letters, for example. Texting is another way. For example, like with Amnesty, a lot of student groups take action for Amnesty's initiatives by writing letters to government officials and then trying to persuade them to take action on the bill. Some tips are to be clear, concise, and persistent. Don't like write a long letter. Just get to the point of what you're trying to get them to lobby for, and explain clearly why they should support it.
Okay, cool. Now to the next slide. So there's a couple of people who we've said to target. I think the slide was done by Alex, so I think you can do this one.
Yeah, so currently this bill is in committee by the trade the trade subcommittee, and the chair of that is Representative Adrian Smith in Nebraska, but some other members are Representative Vern Bushan and Representative Dara Lahoud. However, I'd say probably target Adrian Smith because he's like the chair of the committee, because we're trying to get them to take action on this bill and to move it forward to the next stage so we can get further evaluated, and that's like why we're targeting these members.
Okay, yeah, that sums up pretty much what I wanted to say on the slide as well. Yeah, so I think that's a majority of the content we wanted to cover. Obviously, a lot of these things are really complex topics. This bill is like very, very comprehensive. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to share them now.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, guys.
If I make a Kahoot, it would take me a second because
Wait,
y'all are
actually, I
fast.
feel like it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's probably fine.
Okay. That's fine
Okay.
then.
Okay,
Um,
guys, if we don't have any questions, everyone has to turn their camera on and unmute and share one thing they learned from this session that they didn't know before.
I'll go first
Everyone-
if that helps you. Um, wow, Anika just joined. Okay, let me just say that I definitely learned a little bit more about HR 3194. I didn't know that it was also comprehensive in terms of security, so that's pretty interesting. I'll popcorn it to Zayed. No, you gotta go. No, you can't keep shaking your head and hope it works out.
I knew everything that was going on. Okay, we're gonna
Popcorn to
popcorn it to
Vincent then.
Vincent. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I was trying to multitask through the middle of this meeting, but I have to say I didn't even know that the U.S. before this meeting. I didn't even know the U.S. Citizenship Act was being passed, being even proposed or in Congress. I mean, I don't think that because like obviously we're in a Republican Congress, and Trump's whole flood the zone strategy. We don't really hear about stuff like that. If that makes sense. Oh
No,
shoot, I have
you're
to
good.
popcorn it to someone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'll popcorn it to Santana. Santana. Santana.
Can we
Um,
popcorn it to Neil? Let's
It's
popcorn it to
okay.
Neil. Hi, Neil.
Yeah.
What's up?
wait.
Sure.
No, no. I'm not
Wait.
popcorning to Neil. Popcorning it to uh yeah,
Dude,
we'll popcorn it
Vincent,
to
you're
Neil.
actually getting muted. Oh my God.
Okay. So I'm doing yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I didn't know Adrian Smith was the chair of the what was it, subcommittee on trade, but I know he's a Republican, so that's the other thing that we need to kind of remember. Um, but I mean, again, it's not worth the effort, right? That doesn't mean it's not worth the effort. Um, Also, just side note, at Summit, we're going to be lobbying on bills. So if we want to talk about lobbying on this bill or just bills like this, or anything related to immigration policy, I think that's a good idea. And we can probably
Yeah,
talk about that.
sorry, Neil, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it'd be really good to find like a list of congressional bills that each caucus is interested in looking
Yeah,
into or lobbying, or even the task forces too,
for sure.
and giving that list to you or whoever else is like specifically managing the lobbying section of the summit. I think that'd be a good like deadline to give like around start of June.
Okay. I'll talk about it with the board on Thursday. That's our next meeting.
Perfect. I'll text you
But
the date if
yeah,
that helps.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, but if you had any other takeaways, feel free to go for it.
I mean, I think also if you want to talk about like immigration quotas or like green cards and visas, like, usually those type of like those are given off of like a lottery system, and they're only like seven, like there's like quotas where it's like 7% of the country can receive a visa, right? Or a green card. So like it's basically a miracle that like half of us are even in the States right now. But I think that's also something worth talking about if you guys do another kind of immigration policy workshop, or even something that we could lobby about if you want to look into legislation. I don't think anything's been proposed recently, but still worth a shot.
Mhm. Okay, perfect. Do you want to popcorn it to someone, Neil?
Zayed, Zayed, you're doing this. Zayed, come on.
You gotta yap.
Wait, okay, it's fine. Wait, I feel like five new people joined just now. Do you guys want to run it
Nah,
back?
Yeah, a couple
I
people have
think,
been joining in after you already started. I think you should get to go back.
and like go over it again, or like go over
Again?
like a little bit, like a summary, like not too much. Because Anika
Wait,
joined
we'll
the
just,
second you finished, which is kind of funny.
that was so sad. Okay, wait, we're just gonna run it back completely.
Yay! Gives me
You
more
good with
time to
that,
make a
Alex?
Kahoot.
And
Yeah,
Ankita, we're not doing a Kahoot. I'm leaving if you start a Kahoot. This is your meeting then. Oh my goodness.
Okay, but like you have to do an after activity next workshop that you do for policy.
Wait, okay, yes. I have
Okay,
really good ideas. Okay, we're
okay.
gonna I have we'll Gardic phone. Wait, actually, we
Yes.
could do that this time. Hold on. Okay, yeah.
Okay, let's go back first. Let's go back
Yeah,
first.
yes. Okay. Hello. This is the AANHPI X Latinx Caucus Immigration Policy Workshop, round two. So this is a table of contents. First, we're going to talk about the current state of immigration policy and under the Trump administration. This includes things like the DACA rulings and ICE deportations. Second, we're going to talk about how we as high schoolers can get more involved in policy, not only just through HSCA, but in general as well. Then we're going to talk about a bill that's really important when it comes to immigration policy and immigration activism, the HR 3194 Act, which I think is really great and something we should all lobby for. And we'll explain what it is, what it talks about, all that stuff. Then we'll talk about lobbying and how we can get to work. And specifically, after that, we'll go into key members of Congress we should lobby. Okay.
Oh, so first we'll be discussing what the current state of immigration looks like, and just like what's been going on with DACA rulings and ICE deportations. Okay, so DACA was recently ruled illegal, but that doesn't mean that current DACA residents are being like deported. They're still allowed to stay, but it just means in the future, if people like are come here as a child, they're not allowed to stay in the Dreamers program because it's been ruled illegal. And then there's been aggressive ICE enforcement by the Trump administration. There's been some states suing and vice versa, the federal government, but there's been like mass deportations going on. And like I mentioned earlier, the Trump like account or the White House account recently like released a TikTok about like deportation ASMR, which is like completely inappropriate. And then there's been attempts to dismantle the birthright citizenship. However, that was temporarily stopped in the lower courts, but it'll obviously keep going up to the higher courts as it gets repealed. And then this also, by the way, like as Anya said before, this wouldn't kick out current like people that like are eligible for citizenship under this. It would just be in the future, like it would enforce. And there's been legal battles with like the Garland versus Gonzalez, which happened a few years ago, and it was trying to establish like immigrants get their case looked at before the judge before ICE did, so they didn't get like temporarily kicked out, and that they didn't have to like go through like the heavy case backlog, but it didn't end up ruling in the favor. So. Mhm.
Okay, so this is where we come in. There's a lot of ways that you can get involved, and you even showing up to this meeting is a really good sign that you're trying to get yourself educated on these issues. I think that being a knowledgeable activist is very important. You should know what you're talking about in case anyone has any questions, anyone wants to argue with you, etc. This is a good first step to get educated, but there's obviously more that you have to do to learn more about these topics. So you should Google, you should ask ChatGPT even, you should ask us before you ask ChatGPT probably. And then you can also join or form advocacy groups that promote immigrant rights, kind of like not like getting involved in the literature, well, that is also good, but talking to other people that's also like in the same topics, interested in the same things is also really useful to help you understand more about the perspectives people have on these topics. So if you don't want to join or form an advocacy group, or you don't want to educate yourself, you should educate yourself though. There's other things you can do. You can engage in campaigns in the off season, as I like to call it, which is between the 2 and 4 year like regular election seasons. You can also attend town halls and local meetings where people are doing activism and talking about things. And then you can also lobby local representatives and even like representatives at the national, state scale, etc., to push for more humane immigration policies, especially if you're in one of the lower states like Texas, Florida, California, Arizona, states like these. Immigration is a really big issue in these states specifically. And I think that we have a really good opportunity to kind of like raise our voices, kind of make sure that people think something's being done about the inhumane conditions. Um, and one last thing, we should use and like kind of utilize social media to our advantage. Social media is a tool that like wasn't there for a bunch of past generations, but we have it and we've seen the impact it's had. Like as Alex was saying on the previous slide, it's been like used problematically, and we can counter that by using social media in a more positive light and advocating for things that are more valuable things that we can get done. And social media is also a really good way to connect with people outside of your general circle. So people that you wouldn't normally talk to or like share these issues with, they can find out through social media. And yeah. So HR 3194 outlines comprehensive reforms to the U.S. immigration system by creating a clear pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants. So a couple of things that this bill does. It was introduced in 2023. I Googled it after running through it the first time. It was Representative Linda Sanchez from California. She's a Democrat. And this reform bill is pretty comprehensive. It tries to provide an earned pathway to citizenship for certain undocumented individuals, and it tries to like kind of target the root causes of migration, manage the southern border responsibly, to ensure like everyone's happy basically, and reform the immigrant visa system, which I also agree has a lot of problems right now. So there's a couple of really important parts of this bill. First, it creates a lawful prospective immigrant status. So what this means is that like if you're a non-citizen and you meet certain specific requirements, things such as continuous presence in the US since the beginning of 2023 and passing background checks, you can get lawful prospective immigrant status. And if you've maintained this status for 5 years, then some illegal individuals can apply for lawful permanent resident status. So there's like a pipeline from like being an immigrant and then getting lawful prospective immigrant status and then lawful permanent resident status, and that entire process takes like 5-ish years. So once you're a lawful permanent resident status, actually, I guess like you can get immediate permanent resident status as well. It's given to some non-citizens. For example, people who entered the U.S. as minors, birthright citizenship, people who were like deferred from enforced departure, or they're like temporarily protected, or they have done substantial agricultural labor in the U.S. Right before their application. The other important thing that this bill does, is it's a terminology update. It proposes replacing the term alien in all like official immigration documents, etc., with the word non-citizen, to reflect a more inclusive language and less like problematic terminology, because alien is kind of offensive and non-citizen is like better. Yeah, so family unity and stability is another thing that this bill talks a lot about. It emphasizes the importance of keeping families together, creates an earned path to citizenship, and yeah. Okay. The security stuff and the workforce stuff, it's on the slide. All of y'all can read fairly well, I'm sure. And I already talked about this a second ago, so yeah.
Okay, so lobbying is what we're going to be doing for this bill. But lobbying is when you try to influence the government actions through written or oral communications. Examples can be if you meet with them in person and you try to urge them to support or oppose the bill in like a committee. And you can also call your representatives to express your stance, and you can write letters to your representatives as well. For Amnesty, at least, they say that this is like most impactful because then they open like the letters and like it falls out on the desk. They actually have to like read the paper, versus if you just send an email, they can just like delete it pretty quickly. And then just for some tips, be concise and clear. Don't like give a long introduction. Say like what action you want them to take, and explain your reasonings pretty clearly. Yeah. Okay, so for who to target, this bill is currently in the subcommittee on trade. So we want to target members in this committee to try to have them take action on the bill and to urge it on to like the next phase. But the chair of the subcommittee on trade is Representative Adrian Smith, so he'll be our main target. He's the representative like in Nevada. Some other committee members of the committee though are Representative Varun Bunchan and Representative Darren Lahoud. So you can target any of them as well. Any questions?
I'd just like to add one last thing. So we plan on having like an after session, possibly to actually call these representatives up and talk to them. So please be on the lookout for that as well. But if you'd like to begin like calling them, we'll send out like a little a little document in both of our shared caucuses with the office's contact information and how to and possibly like a lobbying script that if we can create that quick enough. But other than that, that's pretty much the biggest thing for lobbying. So I'll let Alex take the rest of that.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. We'll be like sending that out, like Ankita said. Um, Thanks for coming, everyone. This is a really important bill to like have greater reform in the immigration system to support.
But yeah,
All right, let us know if you guys
Anya, do
have
you want to do your
questions.
Gartic phone thing, or do you think it's like
Loki, like, nah, not this time. I
okay, you're
think
good
like
then.
we've
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
thank
probably
you guys
fine.
all for coming. Definitely appreciate it. Before you guys all leave, let's take like one more photo because like Loki Tenzin joined in late, so that would be nice. Anya, do you want to take it or
Oh,
okay.
okay, I can take it. Yeah.
Not the water bottle in the photo.
Wait, there's something on top of Ankita's face. Hold on.
Oh, what the heck? There is nothing there, bro.
No, 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 no. It was like on my computer. Hold on.
Oh.
Guys, can we all do something? Can we do like this? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll send these pictures out. Thanks for coming, everyone. I hope
All
you had
right,
fun.
bye. Thank you guys so much.